Thank you. And this is my first time here, but I've been a follower of your
None of you are following Abraham. You're all leading.
leading. Thank you. The question that I have is I'd like to preface with, I've been focused on a spiritual journey most of my life in a deliberate way. I was a Catholic nun for 10 years. Also, lay volunteer overseas forms of service, and come to feel that the theme of service I may have been exploring specifically in this lifetime from a lot of different perspectives in the military also. Also, with my family, it's been sort of assisting and helping over the years for those in need. And I feel that the part of that's been sense of responsibility as being the oldest and matriarch, single aunt, and also maybe a little bit of codependency there too, and a little bit of unconditional love all wrapped in. The question I have is a situation.
Service is always codependency because it feels so very good to serve. In other words, they get something, but so do you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Recently, I found myself in a situation where I was helping family members, and I have a family member staying with me right now who is actually on bail, and I agreed to be of assistance temporarily while it was being worked out. And
on bail?
On bail, yes, for an accident and the consequences of that. There's also drugs involved in the family need, and so I've listened intently to some of the others talking in terms of understanding that and being able to relate to that challenge when that's there. This person is going to be taking responsibility for the consequences of and actions of their behavior. I've done what and assisted in ways that I can, and then recently found out that there is going to be a civil suit that the family of the victim being pressed, and because and I'm related as a great aunt to this person, because I'm related to the person, and I had car insurance in which I put my sister's name on it, who's is the grandmother of the relative who's in trouble, and he was house sitting and staying at her place, that I was told they can now level this civil suit against and come against anyone in the family who's related and has car insurance, and that we will need to get a lawyer to handle that liability, who will come after our assets. And while I'm in pain for the pain of the family and understand their reactions and needs, when this came on, my first reaction was to say, no, I can't, I'm not going to put any energy or thought on this because I can't accept this in my reality. The only assets I have is the father's legacy as an artist that when he passed away 10 years ago was left for the family, and I was executor and responsible to try to care for the work and bring it as a legacy to the family, and for bringing success to it to help the grandchildren in need. And there's children who are autistic and without fathers, and I view a loss.
Are you getting the sense, we are going to interrupt you here, are you getting the sense that this conversation could go on for a very long time?
Okay.
Wait.
I'm sorry.
Well, we are interrupting you, but and in the world of etiquette, we are the ones that should be apologizing, but we're not going to, because we all hear that there is a limit to the service that you're willing to give, In other words, your life has been one of service, and so it feels sort of screwy, doesn't it? That you're in service, in service, in service, in service, in service, and now you're in a situation where your very good intentions are sort of turning around, and something less than wanted or less than deserved seems to be looming in the immediate future. We want to say some things to you. We wanted to say them a while ago. And when you first began speaking, because we want to say that you are a born uplifter. You know that. That's why you felt inspired into all of the physical avenues that you followed. It was a path of least resistance. It was a path of inspiration. You are a true uplifter. But the interruption that we wanted to make in the conversation that you were offering, in the details of the way things are unfolding, is that the service that any of us have to offer anyone at any time comes only once alignment has been accomplished. Now that's why in religion often there is value, because through religion you are finding alignment. That's the reason that Esther is of service, because she is finding alignment. In other words, that's the reason that musicians or artists are of service, because they find alignment. They find alignment first and then. Find alignment and then. Now, this alignment that you find is not like a college degree or any kind of credential where once you earn it, it is yours to hang on the wall and it is therefore to be revered forevermore. It's in the moment. It's either there or it's not, you see. And so in every moment that you're wanting to be of service, you first want to be sure that you're hooked up with the energy that serves. And so as they are suggesting that they're wanting some retaliation and some remuneration and some justification and some balancing of things, and they are threatening you with suit or hardship, as that sort of logical in a human sense machine sets into motion. You are standing, as everyone is all the time, sort of finding your response to it. In other words, isn't everything a sort of response to something? That's the reason that you came into these physical bodies. You came because you knew that the environment that surrounded you and the platform that you would be on at any point in time would cause responses from you. But you intended to utilize your guidance system so that you are always responding from source, always responding from your true resources, you see. So it's logical that when it comes at you faster than you're used to, or in a different way than you're used to, that your knee-jerk response would be one not of coming from source, but from coming from fear. In other words, the fear that you feel, the discord that you feel is because the information as it's being presented to you, more important, the information as you are receiving it, has got you introducing a vibration to your vibrational pattern that you're not used to. So you've got a big time wobble going on. You're not used to a big time wobble. You're sure-footed. That's why you are of so much value to so many. That's why you remain stable and feeling good. That's why adversity has never bothered you, because you've always been stable in the face of adversity, because you've been source-like in your unwillingness to look at the adversity. But sometimes when the adversity shows right up at your doorstep and presents itself to you in ways that you haven't practiced being stable in that way, now it feels like you got to approach this in a different way, but you don't. You approach it in the same way that you always have. You find your alignment, you find your love, you find your clarity, you find your well-being. You make the best of the idea and the best of the idea and the best of the idea. In other words, it is our promise to you that things are always working out for you and for your bailed out relative too. In other words, this does not have to upend you. It does not have to cause a manifestation that is unjust to you.
Or anyone in the family, other also.
Or anyone.
Anyone.
Or anyone. The thing that, let's start at a more central place here. Because you were very deliberate about the way you presented this. It was energetically accurate, vibrationally accurate. And the words that you were inspired to, that were the most significant in all of this scenario, is when you expressed this accident. In other words, this person is being held responsible for an accident. Well, there's a lot of accidents going on around. There are a lot of people living indeliberately. There are a lot of people out of focus. And it's an interesting thing how often something being out of whack and causing an accident then summons from the others who are also out of whack an increase in this. In other words, you have sayings in your physical world like two wrongs don't make a right, and we've been wanting to add to that sentiment a bit by saying you can never get to the bottom of something. So when you live in a world that is sort of litigious, in other words, they're looking for reasons to make people pay for mistakes. That is a world that exists, and it is a world that has a lot of momentum to it. And it is a world that everyone who ever experiences any long-standing fear about anything adds to. Because in your lack of your own stability, and therefore in your finding of often instability, there is a guardedness, a sort of protectiveness, a retaliation that just isn't serving anyone. But we want to say to you that while these are physical laws, and while these are physical responses to these physical laws, that there are greater laws, there is greater energy, there is greater service, there is greater help than that legal help, than that fighting it out in those ways. Of course, if somebody is mean to you, isn't that always when you are rude back? If somebody's rude, you walk around, you're a nice person until somebody's rude, and then suddenly you don't feel so nice. And it feels to you like it's their fault. Or you walk around feeling pretty secure in your world until somebody you love, something happens to them, and then you feel sort of insecure. And what we're wanting you to understand is that you cannot ever gain your assurance. You can never find your balance by reaching for it from the outside. In other words, it isn't out there. You can't win a legal battle. Don't fight it on those terms. What you're wanting to do is to tap back into the resources that are truly who you are. And which means you're going to have to get off that subject, because that subject's going to cause you to wobble. And you can't wobble and be in alignment at the same time. Right. So you just got to get off that subject for a while and get back into your center, back into your alignment, back into the resources that you understand so well, back into the love that's natural for you. Not just the love for those that you're related to, but the love for others that are misunderstanding or that are experiencing some hardship. In other words, an understanding of what others are asking about, an understanding, in other words, not blaming them, not getting on the other side of them, not fighting them, but feeling true compassion the way Source does about the situation that they are in, and wanting to soothe them with the only thing that ever will soothe, which is love and understanding, you see. Yes. They can go after everything you've got, and they can make your life miserable, and things will unfold, and ultimately you would remain triumphant. We just don't want you to have an unpleasant journey on the way to that, because it doesn't need to be that way. And the journey can be ever so much shorter as you come to this place of understanding. We know. That's hard for you to believe when you listen to the scenario. It's hard for you to believe that things can be different. But things are different than the norm all the time. The statistics always show what usually happens, but they don't show what always happens. There are always variances in statistics, and those variables are always because someone has a different vibrational stance than people usually. In other words, the variance in statistics means somebody stayed centered in the midst of all of that. Somebody hooked up to the energy that creates worlds in the midst of all of that. Somebody was the anomaly, not the usual statistic. Somebody was the anomaly. And we say, that's you folks. That's who you are. You're the weird ones.